You're listening to Up1Notch, a podcast where I explore the tech business world. My name is Mohammad Aoun, and I'm a growth accelerator for tech companies looking to scale their businesses. I'm sitting down with software industry leaders, startup founders, and tech experts. Tune in to hear about the latest and greatest from the tech world. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in into another episode of Up1Notch, a podcast where we talk about technology in general, and we invite speakers from the software development space and startups and things like that. Today, my guest is Burton Kelso. Hi, Burton. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good, Mohammed. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much. So Bert, if you can start off with like a very high level around and tell us about Integral. When it comes to Integral, the company, you're the owner of it, right? So how did you come up with that idea of providing this service around break and fix for the IT support for different businesses and homes?
Well, it was very easy to come up with the idea back in 1993 because end user technology was really starting to make an emergence. And as you may know, back in the early 90s, there wasn't much help or much material as far as technology was concerned. So both individuals and both small business owners needed an ally to be able to help them get the most from the technology they used at home and at work. So it was really easy to make a decision to break away from the big box store that I was working at and to launch my company, because there were customers coming into the store all the time. You know, I had family and friends reaching out on a consistent basis as far as needing computer help and so that's what gave me the idea to go ahead and launch Integral. And the other thing too, Mohammed, that you have to remember, back in the early 90s, there weren't many on-site on-site break fix companies. Most companies wanted you to pack up your computer or even your laptop and bring it into the shop and let it sit for a while. But as technology emerged, more people needed someone to come to them to get their computers and technology straightened away, because sometimes the problem is at the location, not necessarily with the device. It could be end user, could be back then spotty phone service as far as dial-up services were concerned, or it could even be electrical issues. So, I mean, it was just a full mix of things that could be happening on site, and that seemed the best direction to go as far as starting a company. Right.
So you said 1993. Did I hear that correct?
You did.
Yeah.
Been at it for a long time.
I mean, I would be surprised if there were too many people actually using computers in that year. I mean, when it comes to like the end users in the homes and like, right? I mean, we're talking about really early stages of it, I guess. There were no, I mean, this is like pre-Windows 95. I don't remember the systems before that anyway. So when you, for example, talk about, let's say, break and fix and all those supports, I mean, you target the business side more. Like there's like for huge companies that obviously have their own like thousands and thousands of employees, and they have their devices that need break and fix kind of support. Or you're talking about essentially kind of home service where, let's say, people can call somebody and say, okay, my laptop just got broke and can you fix it, and things like that. It's like online ordering kind of for a break fix service kind of thing.
The best analogy, and I hate using this company name, but the best analogy of what our company does is all the stuff that Geek Squad does. So, you know, we predate Geek Squad, and Geek Squad does, they do target individuals, but they also target small businesses too. And box stores like Office Depot, they also target like the end user, but then they also target small businesses too. And I think when it comes to IT, I think most people automatically assume, even back in the early 90s, that you would always target like the large corporations. But if you're a large enterprise, then you're going to have an IT person on staff or people on staff to handle all those needs. But there is an underserved community out there of individuals and for small businesses that just don't have anyone that they can reach out to whenever they have technical issues. With the small businesses that we run into, sometimes it's the neighbor's kid, if you can believe it or not, that are help running these small companies that, you know, maybe have 4 or 5 employees. But at the same time, these companies are multi-million-dollar companies, especially the ones that are dealing in the service industry. And I mean, a lot of people are surprised that these smaller businesses are breaking in that type of profit, but I mean, they're out there, but they're the underserved because there's really no resource that they can go to in order to get computer help. And going back to 1993, that era saw the emergence of more individual PCs. So yes, it was before Windows 95. So you had DOS 4.0 and of course Windows 3.1. But I think the thing that was starting to fuel individuals buying computers and small businesses too were online services like Prodigy and AOL. I mean, people wanted to get in that community, and so they would go out and buy computers. And then the premise of GUI programs like visual versions of Word and Excel and PowerPoint that were driving people to find devices that would help them accomplish their goals a lot easier.
Right. So you also talk about cybersecurity, right? So I mean, first of all, definitely, I think there's a huge segment of the market which is unserved. Like, for example, big companies or small and medium business definitely have their own like in-house, let's say, network operating officer, or let's say somebody who takes a look at all of those devices and gets those fixed. But when we talk about, for example, the small businesses and home-based appliances, definitely this market is still unserved. So what about the general, what you call it, cybersecurity standards when it comes to, let's say, for example, the end users, like the market that you are serving?
Well, you'd be surprised that a lot of it is just training as far as learning not to click on stuff. I think it's estimated, even on the enterprise level, that at least 90% of all cybercrime requires some sort of user interaction, meaning that either there's a phishing link that comes in and some employee clicks on it, and then of course the whole corporation has ransomware, or you and I mean that happens with small businesses too. But there are cyber threats that even small businesses and individuals have to watch out for. Like example, in Australia, one of the telecom companies, I think I'm right, got hacked. And it was because the API of their website was manipulated in a way where a criminal was able to set up an admin account from another website, and then they were able to log in and steal this millions of personal information like names, addresses, social security numbers, and it put that company at risk. So on a smaller scale, it's pretty much the same thing. But again, Mohammad, you have to look at the fact that these individuals and these smaller businesses are the underserved, that they don't get that type of training like you would see in an enterprise where they get the phishing email to find out if they're going to fall for the scheme or not. They just don't get that. So they don't have that constant training. And so for a lot of them, it's trial by error. I mean, we've seen businesses become victims of cybercrime by the form of a ransomware attack, but they never have done any backup or were never told that you need to back up on a regular basis. I mean, we've seen businesses, especially employees, who end up falling for the gift card scam, or they end up falling for what's called the locker or scareware, where ransomware threat pops up on an individual or small business computer, and they end up calling the 800 number. So, I mean, those are the types of threats that we have to deal with. And then I think that's a problem that we all have to deal with cybercrime, because we're always focused on enterprise, but it's the individuals, it's the small businesses that we have to worry about, because they're helping contribute to the pot that cyber criminals are earning their money from. So, I mean, that's what we target on, and that's how we help people.
Right. And I think that when it comes to, I mean, we all saw about WikiLeaks and all of those topmost, like the websites and those systems that, let's say, these huge organizations are using, they can get hacked. Then absolutely the end users, like, for example, people using these devices at their homes and everything, definitely they're more prone and more kind of, they're more open to that kind of a risk and things like that. So within the, let's say, for example, so you guys work in the Kansas City. I mean, what exactly would it take to scale, let's say, across the US when it comes? I mean, obviously the market is immense. When it comes to, let's say, serving the community, what does it really take to scale this company and let's say be able to serve, let's say 5 states across the US, or let's say all 50 states across the US?
Well, it's a number of things that kind of help that cause. So number one, it probably, because everyone uses the internet and Google as the yellow pages, is to develop your SEO for your website. So if you're looking to have, say, a multi-state presence or a national or international presence, you have to incorporate your website in order to have great SEO, and not only your website, but social media as well. So when you put in those keywords in your SEO, such as computer repair near me, or computer repair or computer support in, let's just say Kansas, since we're cross state, we've got a Missouri side and a Kansas side. So SEO is very important on websites and on social media. And surprisingly or not, your social media is going to stand out a little bit more, because like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram have higher SEO ranking on Google than, say, even your website. Now, if you're fortunate enough, you can put those proper terms in the wording of your website and get a larger presence. But the other thing that's kind of helped as far as, or that could help with a national presence, is appearing on different lifestyle and news shows across the country and internationally. Once you do that on a consistent basis, obviously a newscast is going to get you more exposure than sometimes social media. So just appearing as the resident tech expert on different stories definitely helps build your brand as a business, and definitely helps people understand that you can help them with whatever issues that they're dealing with technology. Because I don't care what business you have, it's all about building trust and also sharing relevant content. Because like I said, there is a segment out there of people that just don't have any idea. And so if you're constantly sharing valuable content on social media, sending out blog posts, making YouTube videos, and going with podcasts, then you definitely let people know that you're out there to help them. And of course, once you gain their trust, then they are going to be more apt to using you and your services.
Absolutely. So yeah, definitely. I think that that's probably the same reason why we kind of see you on television very often and and things like that, like because you have to do networking and meet new people, get in front of a lot of customers to be able to attract these the relevant audience for that. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out, Bert, for this episode. It was really a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me, Mohammad.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Uh-huh.